Welcome back to Podcast Recovery. We are your hosts, David O.
And Eric V.
Today we are joined by our guest, Tony. How you doing today?
I'm great. What about yourself?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Trying to settle in after rushing the traffic, but good. Otherwise, good. Where are you from, Tony?
I stay in Plainfield, Indiana right now, but I'm originally from Longview, Texas.
Okay. Nice. And when were you first introduced to recovery?
Back in probably 98, 97, somewhere in there.
All right. And how long have you been clean?
Over 10 years.
Nice. All right. Well, congratulations. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you to share your story with us. So take her away.
Okay. I grew up as the only child. Didn't have no brothers or sisters. I was that spoiled, rotten kid. I got whatever I wanted. Yeah, spoiled, rotten kid. And everybody in my neighborhood that I was, all the kids around, they always thought that I was so lucky because I was the only child. You know, I got whatever I want. Everybody used to hang out at my house because I had everything. I grew back up around the 80s with the little mopeds, Tory games and all that. Yeah. So everybody hung out at my house. But a lot of people didn't realize what was going on in my house. So my parents was present and absent at the same time. And what I mean by that is we didn't do a whole bunch of stuff together. When we sit down for dinner, I would be in my room, my mom would be in the bedroom, and my dad would be in the den. We never did sit down and eat together. Yeah. We never took no family vacations. First time I took a family vacation with my parents was when I turned 30 years old, and I'll be 50 in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. When we used to go visit relatives, my mom and dad would drive separate cars. Something I could never understand. Wow. It wasn't a bunch of hugs and I love yous, but boy, stuff, I had all that. My parents grew up real poor, so I guess they wanted me to have everything, but they was missing that part of just telling me that you love me every now and then, a hug or something. Yeah. But I didn't have that in my family. Yeah. Fast forward a little bit, when I got to middle school, I started gaining some new friends. We started hanging out, going to the mall, going to the movies, playing sports, not getting no trouble, just doing typical stuff. Yeah. And these were my buddies, these were my buddies. But when it was time for us to go to high school, my life changed. Now my friends was cool, don't get me wrong, but it was some friends cooler than them, the cool kids. Oh, yeah. And, yeah. And my friends weren't doing what the cool kids was doing. The cool kids were smoking marijuana, cutting class, and everybody wanted to kind of hang out with these guys, And man, before I knew it, I was smoking marijuana every day. I used to smoke marijuana before I went to school, at school, and after school. When I was coming up, back in my time, we had a smoking area where people could actually go and smoke cigarettes before school. Yeah. Yeah. And we would be back there smoking weed. Yeah. And nobody never had an idea I was smoking weed. I always kept my appearance up. Only way you knew that I smoked marijuana was that you hung out in my circle. When I became a sophomore, I started working. My parents helped me get a job, and I got a steady girlfriend at this time. So everything was going great. I'm smoking the best marijuana, and I got money in my pocket, and I got a car. So you can't tell me nothing. When I became a junior, I had enough credits where I could go to school a half a day. I would go to school from 8 to 12, and then from 1 o'clock to whatever time I would go to work. Well, on my way to school, I would always pick my buddies up, and we would smoke marijuana on the way to school. Yeah. Well, one of my friends come up with this brilliant idea about, let's go hang out at my house for the day and just smoke and get high and chill. I said, okay, cool. And that started happening on the regular. I was doing that 3 or 4 times out the week. Well, one day when I got home, my parents were sitting in the living room. They don't usually sit in the living room.
Uh-oh.
And when I walked in, they asked me had I been to school. Which that day I had been to school. And I said, yes. And they said, well, what is this letter here? I said, what letter? And the letter said that Anthony Jackson would not be able to go to the 12th grade because he had missed so many days. And you know how you get that tingle feeling in your stomach? I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. So I'm just sitting there, and they waiting on the answer. And I finally went on confessing. And I told them I had been, cutting class, hanging out over one of my buddy's house. I didn't dare tell them I was smoking marijuana.
Yeah, definitely not.
No. And there was, they just couldn't understand. Like, after all we do for you, we didn't help you get a car. We still buy you clothes and we give you money every now and then. And this is how you're going to repay us? So they were just waiting on the answer. But I knew I didn't want to go back to school because I was going to be embarrassed, because I was going to have to repeat the 11th grade.
Yeah.
So I convinced them that I was going to take my GED, and they agreed to it. So when I started going to GED classes, now it's a little bit different. The teachers there, they don't care. If you come, you come.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you don't. That's just what it is. There wasn't no letters sent home, none of that. They wasn't trying to really be concerned about you or track you down. Just wasn't none of that. And eventually, I started doing the same thing, skipping GED class. And I ended up quitting GED classes. And that led me to the street. Back in 1986, I went to the streets and I started selling crack cocaine. Crack cocaine had become real popular down in Longview, Texas, and a lot of people was experiencing this drug right now. When I first got in this lifestyle, I was making a lot of money. I was making $1,000 to $2,000 every day.
Damn.
Yeah, it was good. On the place where we sold drugs, it was an ongoing place. It didn't stop. It was a city inside a city. Now I was buying all the jewelry I wanted, all the clothes, all the shoes. I had, all the women. When I used to go to the club, I would buy the whole club drinks because I had it like that. Yeah, I had it going on. Yeah. But, during that time, something happened. I graduated my drug use. I started putting the crack and marijuana together, and I was smoking. And before I knew it, I had a $500 habit. But it wasn't no problem because I made enough money to supply my habit. Yeah. And one day we were sitting on the block doing our thing, and at that time I sold drugs to whoever. It didn't matter. I used to run cars. It didn't matter. Me and one of my friends, we used to have a competition to see who could sell the most drugs. One day, this blue Caprice pulled up on a block here, and we ran to the car. And as soon as we got right at the door, the undercover rushed out, and we started running. And I tried to trump my drugs, and the undercover saw me, and that was my first case of possession of a controlled substance. Yeah. So now I got this big old write-up in the paper. Everybody in the town know. My parents, and they embarrassed. It was just ridiculous. And they exaggerate about how much drugs I really had. That made it seem like I had more drugs.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the news for you.
But the whole time I was in jail, I wasn't even thinking about what happened. All I was thinking about, I got to get back out here so I could make some more money and get some more drugs. Yeah. Because at that time, I was uncontrollable. Yeah, that's all I thought about was the streets. So I stayed in jail about 2 weeks. And when I got out, I went right back to that block and started hustling again. About 2 weeks later, out of nowhere, here come the FBI and the regular police. They hit the scene. They got every area blocked off. You can't run. And when they get out, they got papers in their hands. And going around asking each individual what their names are. And when they came up to me, they knew who I was. I just got busted 2 weeks later. They asked me my name, Anthony Jackson. Yeah, they handcuffed me. And I asked them what was going on, but they wouldn't tell me. So when I go to jail, the next morning when I go to court, come to find out now I got 2 secret indictments where I've been sold to an undercover twice. Now I got 3 cases. I got a possession of a controlled substance that carried 5 to 20. Then I got 2 secret indictments, and they ran separately Each one of those cases carried 5 to 99. I got a chance to go to the penitentiary for the rest of my life.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So things ain't looking good now. And this time I was in jail. When I was out there, I was, doing all kind of crazy stuff. I was using drugs. I wasn't saving no money, buying clothes, doing this, doing that. And I didn't have no money put up.
Yeah.
So this time my parents bummed me out. And when they got out, they just like, what has overcome you?
Yeah.
We didn't raise you up like this. And they was trying to act like it was their fault.
Yeah.
They just couldn't understand. Yeah. They was hurt at this time. Their only son, And they said, won't you leave Longview and go to Garland, Texas, which is on the suburbs of Dallas.
Yeah.
And stay with him a while. I said, you know what? That might be a good idea. But deep down, I really didn't want to go, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I went for them. So when I went there, my uncle's the type of guy that he's not going to play that. He ain't going to have you coming in and out of his house. He's just one of those persons. He's not going for that.
Yeah.
And I stayed there maybe 3 weeks, and I come right on back to Longview. And where did I go? Right back to that block. With 3 cases pending. So when I went to the block, I seen 2 of my friends, and we sitting there talking, just talking about everything that happened. As we were sitting there talking, my friend and this guy get into an argument. And we're not paying them much attention. We still talking, and next time we look up, they was fighting. And my friend get the best of them, and we pulled my friend off of him. So the guy left, and we walked back to, it was like a gambling shack there. It was like a one way in, one way out. So we sit up on the shed, and we started getting high. We was sitting out of nowhere. Here come the guy and 2 of his brothers, and all of them got guns in their hands.
Oh.
One of them got a gun and a stick. So the first question they asked, like, why did all 3 of you guys jump on my brother? I was like, we all 3 of us didn't jump on him. It was just a fair fight between our friend and your brother. So we arguing back and forth. About this time, my friend take out running. So two of the brothers start running after him. And when he was running, they start shooting him. Ooh. And you could just see my friend like running in slow motion.
Yeah.
And he finally hit the ground. And about this time, they got on top of him and they started shooting him and beating him at the same time.
Oh,
and you could hear the licks. And the other brother got us in the back with a gun waving back and forth. And then he pulled the trigger, but the gun misfired. Oof. And my friend hit the gun out of his hand. And I ran up to my friend. And I was shaking him, calling his name. He wasn't saying. I kept calling his name. He was just gagging. And man, about maybe 3 or 4 minutes later, that was it. He died right there in my hands.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But at this time there was a lot of commotion going on, sirens going off, people running everywhere. But I had to get off that scene because I had drugs on me.
Yeah.
So I left him when he got me a hotel room. And I just sit on the bed and I was just thinking about all the stuff that happened to me. Dropped out of high school, got 3 cases pending, could go to the penitentiary for the rest of my life. And at this time, my daughter had been born, and I hadn't been a father. And I was hoping, man, when I went to sleep, that I would wake up and all this would be a dream. But when I woke up the next morning, it wasn't no dream. So that next morning, I did get up. I got back out there and started selling drugs again after I seen my best friend get killed. Because that's the lifestyle I live, that's all I thought about. So it's time for me to go to court. And when I went to court, it wasn't nothing but God. They ran all my cases together, and I didn't get but a 10-year sentence. So when I get ready to go to prison, I'm not knowing nothing about prison, no more than what everybody tell me. Like, you're going to be okay. But, you got these thoughts, what you saw on TV,
Oh, yeah.
And so when I went to prison, come to find out it wasn't that bad. But, man, when I was there, I didn't educate myself on nothing. I didn't try to get my GED. I didn't try to get no trade. I wasn't reading no books. I wasn't doing nothing. The only thing I was doing was working out, and I was getting other people's phone numbers so I can get some contacts when I got out. Because I was going to sell drugs again. But the whole time I was right home telling my parents and my girlfriend at the time that I'm going to do right. This place ain't for me. So I did about 14 months. And when I got out, everybody was glad to see me and things. And I got back with my baby's mother. We doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I didn't stay out for 6 months, and I went back to prison again for another possession case.
Mm.
But only this time, I don't give a 5 years. And I should have gotten, 20, 30 years because I had 10 the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I went back to prison, things a little bit different this time. I wasn't hanging out with the bad guys no more. I was doing a lot more reading,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just working on myself this time. I wasn't trying to get nobody phone numbers.
Yeah.
So I did my time, and when I got out, my parents kind of leered. Everybody kind of leered, like, "What you gonna do this time?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got out, and I got me a job again. Things going good, but I come up with a crazy idea, man. I said, I ain't gonna sell no more drugs. I'm just gonna use every now and then. And you know how that go.
Oh yeah.
Once you've been addicted to a drug and you go back and pick that drug up, it's just like you ain't never stopped.
Yep.
And man, crack cocaine was my master at one time. When it spoke to me, I obeyed. If it told me to go to the left, I went to the left. If it said go to the right, I went to the right. When they say bag up, I would bag up. It was times, man, that I used to go on binges for a whole week with the same clothes on, not washing my face, not brushing my teeth, just chasing the drug.
Mm-hmm.
I was a monster. I remember times I used to go up in the crack house. When I would go, it would be nighttime. And my plans was just go in there, buy me a piece of crack, and come out.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go in the house, I would get stuck.
Oh yeah.
When I come out, I'm thinking it's gonna be night, but it's daytime. I had blacked out. I don't remember nothing. All I remember going in and coming out. I don't know what happened to me when I was in there. This one here, man. I just it was a lot of times I used to go in my mom's purse and I would take all her money. When she wake up in the morning, all her money would be gone. So you can imagine how my mother felt at this time, her only son, how he'd have turned out. She's really going through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people kill me when they say, "Ooh, if I'd had my father there. Ooh, if I had my mother there, I wouldn't have did the things I did." Well, I had my mother and my father, and I still went on this road binge, And at this time, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
So I decided to go get some help. Now, my parents never know when to take me real. They're like, he probably full of game. And at this point in my life, I remember my parents didn't have a good relationship. I had lost relationship with both of my daughters. I had really lost self-respect for myself, and none of my friends didn't want to fool with me. Period.
Yeah.
Because I was that monster guy. I couldn't be trusted. So when I did go to rehab, I went, and I think it was a 3-year program. But
wow.
I started going to meetings. And things started going good for me. I started seeing the light. And this program had a transition house that you could go to once you completed the program. I did a year without getting in no trouble, and everything was great. So when it was time for me to get out, I went to the transition house. Now I got a little more freedom on my time.
Oh yeah.
Well, I started using again. I started using on the weekends. I never would use during the week. It was just those weekends I was going, little spurts. But during that time, I was going to church. Well, one Sunday after church, this lady there, we become real, real close. She considered me like a son, and she invited me to a prayer service. And it wasn't at that church, so I told her I would be there. So the next weekend, I go to that church, and the church is in the hood. I'm riding up and down this hood. I cannot find this church nowhere. So I found it, and it's an old rundown building, and you got trees everywhere. You can't see the sign. You got grass up to your knees. I'm like, what is this? So when I walk in the church, it ain't but 7 people in this church. I'm like, first thing I'm thinking, I'm finna go because this finna be boring.
Yeah.
But I had made a promise to this lady. So we was sitting there. The first thing they did was start giving testimony service. And all of a sudden, like the spirits just got real high in this church. About 45 minutes into that service, man, I don't know what happened, but some kind of way, I was picked up off the ground. I was pinned up against the wall. And then I just started foaming at the mouth, started purging. All this stuff just coming out of my mouth. Now, I heard about this, but it never happened to me, and I've never seen it. But this time it was happening to me. And when I was on that wall, I was just like I was blacked out. But this lady ran over to me, and she had a paper towel in her hand. And she was wiping my mouth because it was so much coming out. And she kept telling me to say, praise God. But the more I tried to say something, the more it came out. When that experience was over with, it was just like things was different. So when I left there, you know, even after that, I still tried to go and use drugs. But every time I would try to go and use drugs, I could not get high. I would go somewhere and buy some drugs. Man, these drugs ain't no good. Then I'd go somewhere else and buy some drugs. The same thing. It had got to the point where I would go buy drugs and I would just give them away. And I don't give away no drugs.
Yeah.
And one day I was sitting at home and I was like, when I was on that wall, God touched me. It was time for me to change. And right then, man, my life changed. And I didn't use no more after that. Yeah, I didn't use no more after that. After that, I was able to go to get my CDL license, and now I own my own truck. Husband, got my relationship back with my children. Got a good relationship with my parents. Who's a certified recovery coach or author. And life has been good, man. I mean, it ain't. Don't get me wrong. Now, it ain't just been easy. It's been some rough times. You know, I had to put the work in, man, because I lost a relationship with my children for 15 years, man. 15 years. And they respected their stepfather more than they did me. But I made that bed. I had to lay in it. But with some hard work, I was able to get out of that bed. And yeah, that's how my story is right there.
Wow.
That's great.
Fantastic.
That's powerful.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I think we got some questions for you. I'm going to let Eric lead it off.
All right. So, I guess, like, the first thing I'm going to ask is, you were talking about smoking crack or like selling crack in the 1980s. So, I mean, that would make you kind of a product of the crack epidemic. How do you feel about that? Just, I mean, like where I am right now, I guess would be a product of, big pharma and the heroin epidemic. But how do you feel being kind of like, because I mean, it was the 80s, it's like the Reagan era. Like, I mean, what are your thoughts on being, kind of like a statistic of that generation?
It's Eric, right?
Yes.
You talking to Eric now?
Yes.
Okay. Eric, it was a long time I was ashamed of my life. I wouldn't tell nobody what I had been through. I felt like I was nothing at one time. I was really embarrassed about my life because, like I said, man, I did a lot of ugly things. And crack. I mean, y'all just heard some of it, man. I did some ugly stuff, man. I used to loan my car out to people. It was a girl I was dating one time, and she let me use her car. And I told her, I let someone use her car for drugs. And they took her car and was gone for like 2 months. I told her somebody stole it. Yeah, and I was just, sometimes I feel like I wish that things didn't happen to me, but I think God took me through that for a reason, because he brought me out.
Yeah. All right. I got a question. This is David. So you talked a lot about like the behaviors like in active addiction, like the lifestyle of like living on the block, getting all them, getting money, buying expensive things, having the people, buying all the drinks at the bars. How much was the lifestyle sort of an addiction as well as the drugs?
Are you referring to like the stuff I bought? Or
Well, yeah, just being addicted to that sort of lifestyle, being addicted to like the money, being addicted to like the rush of like just being that guy. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that felt good because I felt like I was the king. I was on top of the world. I had everything. I could buy anything I wanted. And it was like I could get any woman I wanted because I had money. I know what to do to get them. But it got to the point. It got to the point where I didn't care about that as much. I cared more about the drugs because the drugs still overriding that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll like sort of to like follow that up. How important was it like moving forward in recovery to sort of change those like behaviors in recovery, like not going to the same places, not going to the same people? Like how was that like a difficult thing, or like how difficult was it to really like transition to like a recovery mindset?
Oh yeah, that was a challenge for me, but it was a good thing that I was like from my hometown. I was about 300 miles away, so I didn't really, I knew some new environments where I was, but it wasn't as, I guess not as, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't as attractive as it was back at home. Where I was getting drugs, but I wasn't going there all the time. I had to do a lot of internal work. When I was there in Waco, Texas, I was in a brotherhood, and people was keeping me accountable. So that was one of my main things that helped me, was just being accountable and being around the right people. Now, it was some times that I wanted to go, but I did make a call like, hey, I'm thinking about this, and somebody would talk to me. But that's one of the main things you have to worry about is people and environments. Because that would take you back out.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right.
Yeah.
What else you got, Eric?
So yeah, like let's see. So you're talking about that experience in the church, and I know with a lot of different fellowships or any time with recovery, a lot of people usually talk about having a spiritual awakening and whatever that means for you. But would you kind of classify that as sort of, this is kind of a two-part question. Would you classify that experience you had in the church as your spiritual awakening because it kind of seemed like it affected the way you were able to use drugs? And then did that experience change the way you approached your spirituality?
Yes, it did. Because when I was young, I was like using my mother's God. I wasn't really living. I didnn't have a God. My mother's God was mine. But when I was on that wall, it changed my life. Because like I was saying before, when I went out to try to use again, I couldn't get high. I could not get high for nothing. I would go 4 or 5 places trying to buy drugs, and I just couldn't get high. And it seemed like I wouldn't even jonesing for the drugs no more. And like I said before, I got to the point where I gave away crack, and I don't used to give away no crack to nobody.
That is strange.
Yeah. So that was that. I mean, it's still unreal. Like, golly, it ain't never happened to me no more. But that was a experience, man. That was an experience.
Yeah. And all right, I got a question. In your story, like you talked about how other people talk about like not having this parent or that parent, or growing up in sort of like a broken home, and how you didn't have that scenario, and like it still ended up in addiction. And
Right.
Like my question is like, how do you feel about like addiction being this sort of like all conquering thing? Like it doesn't discriminate between like colors or like economic status or where you're at. Like it can just sort of strike anyone at any time. Like, what are your feelings about like how powerful addiction can be?
Oh, addiction can be powerful, man. Addiction can take you out. You know, it could take even if your family's not using, it can take them out. They have destroyed a lot of good people. I still got friends that's still using drugs right today, going in and out of prison. Mm. Even if they didn't see my life change, it don't matter. Some people just ain't gonna get it, no matter what. Yeah. You know, and you hate that because crack. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, man. Mm-hmm. That drugged me. Crack cocaine drugged me, and I feel like parents should talk to their children about drugs and things like that. My parents never talked to me about drugs. Mm-hmm. They never talked to me about sex or none of that. Mm-hmm. I had a kid when I was 16 or 17 years old. My dad never talked to me about sex, but I had to talk to my dad maybe. I think about 2 months ago, and I asked him that question. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, my dad never talked to me about it. It wasn't brought up in my home. So he was just passing. I can't be mad at him. He was just passing down what he knew. Yeah. And it's very important that we get educated as parents to talk to our children. I think you should start talking to children about drugs when in the 4th or 5th grade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got, Eric?
I got one more. So you were talking about at the end of your story, kind of rebuilding that trust with your family, and you know that's kind of something. It's kind of an action, right? Of you have to show it more than saying you're sorry, or you actually you have to put in work to kind of regain that. And what steps did you take to regain that trust with your parents and with your children?
What I did was I made sure that I kept a job, and everything that I said I was going to do, I did. I didn't, if I couldn't do it, I would call, look, I can't make it, or I can't do this. But I didn't make no promises that I couldn't keep. It was sometimes that, my children used to tell me they hate me, but they didn't stop me. They used to call, and it was times that they wouldn't answer the phone, but I kept calling until they did. Or sometimes I would go by the house and they wouldn't even come to the door. But I kept showing up. I didn't give up because I was like, I'm going to win this battle. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And over a period of time, after being consistent, it changed. But like I said, Eric, it was not easy, man. It was a lot of times I wanted to give up. Even after, when you clean 6, 7 years, whatever, you thinking like everybody should accept me back. Like, man, I'm doing the right thing. What is it going to take? But I just had to keep going. That was my children and my parents was my why. Like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this.
Yeah, that's so hard to, for that many years to not, you kept going. So, it shows that the work paid off, right? So when people, get frustrated at the idea that why won't the people we hurt trust us immediately again? It takes time. It's not going to be right around the corner, and that's 6 or 7 years before gaining that trust. That's a lot of commitment.
Yep. Yeah. But it took almost 15 years for me to get a solid relationship with my children. And we still not where we need to be. But we done come a long, long way. About maybe a year ago, my oldest daughter, she's 33, and she put a message on Facebook to Dad, I'm proud of the man that you come to be. And man, that made me feel so good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right. I have a question. Where is it? How important, do you think it is for the individual to find their avenue of recovery? Your avenue, from what I've heard, was really a sort of a spiritual route, and then other people go more with the 12-step fellowships or other types of recovery. And we think recovery is recovery, regardless of the avenue. But how important is it to keep trying to find where you fit?
I think that's very important because sometimes a lot of people feel like, well, NA and AA is the only way. And I disagree with that. I think you have to get in your own lane and find what works for you. Just because you went to NA, that might not work for me. Or you went to AA, it might not work for me. Some people go to church. Some people can get in a brotherhood or sisterhood and get clean. You have to do what works for you. You know, because I went, to be honest, man, I went to 2 or 3 rehabs, and it still wasn't working. The rules just didn't work for me. I don't know why, but it just never would stick with me.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm coaching a guy that's an alcoholic, and I suggest that you go to meet. He needs the meetings. He needs those meetings.
Yeah.
And I shared my story. My story can't be your story. You got to find your truth.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Love that.
I love that.
You got to find your truth. I love that. All right. To sort of like follow up on that, man, I just lost my train of thought. Totally. Totally lost my train of thought. I got nothing. Eric, take over for a second. I got nothing. Do you have another question?
No, I just wrote down the title of the episode.
Oh, man. Damn. Oh, okay. Now I got it. Okay, you said you were coaching a guy through recovery, and like you're sort of like catering it to him, saying, "Hey, man, you need these meetings. Go to those meetings." How important was it for you, like coming into recovery, really starting to give back to other people, and like what have you done throughout the years to give back in a selfless nature to, I don't know, make sort of like a personal amends for all the things you did, and also help the next person find their recovery?
Oh, I think it's very important giving back and adding value. Actually, I go down to the juvenile detention once a month, and I volunteer there. And I talk with the young guys there to let them know that you got another chance. You don't have to keep making these mistakes. You don't want to walk the road that I walked, because it took me a long time to get my life on track. Even after me getting my life together, it was still hard because I had a felony on my background. People do not want to accept you.
Yeah.
People judge you because of your record.
Oh, yeah.
So I always tell the guys, you don't have to walk. Do what I did. I already did it for you. Don't keep walking this path, because it's fun now, but in the long run, when you decide to change your life, it's a price that you're going to have to pay. And the price ain't fun. And it's very important to me, because I don't want to see nobody suffer with no type of addiction, because I know what it do. I know what it does to your family. That stuff like that. I was in the blind. I used to say like, "Oh, it ain't my mom, it's me." But I was killing my mother in the inside.
Yeah.
I was killing her, and a lot of times we don't realize that. But I love helping people, man. That's my number one thing. I love helping people, because I just don't want to see nobody go through the struggle. I want to show people that you can make it, because you're looking at the example, man. You're looking at the example that was out there. And I grew up with everything I wanted. If I can do it, somebody else can do it. If I just go in the room and I share my story, if I get one person, man, that's a blessing right there. Because that one person can go tell another person.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people do not want to be transparent with their story. You got people that can clean up their lives, but they would not share that story. The story does not belong to you. It's for somebody else.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
I like that.
I love that too, man. You're killing it. All right, I think I got a couple more. What amends have you gone forward with, like making with your parents? Like, how have you really solidified, like gaining a relationship with them and gaining their trust again, and really making those sorries, making them real? And like, how have you really like paid them back for all those years that you put them through?
To answer that question, I think the work that I put in by showing them that I'm a changed person really changed their perception about me. With me doing all the volunteer work that I do now, all the things that I'm doing in community, they see a big change in me. I would tell like, we are so proud of you. You know, thank you for being the man that you turn out to be.
Yeah.
I mean, all the time they're telling me this, but just the work that I done put in to change. And when I wrote the book, my parents didn't have no idea that I was going through all that stuff. They didn't know about the $500 habit. They knew I was on, crack, but they didn't know it was like that. And how I got transparent about my life. I just came out with it. And they was, super proud of that. Because I took my parents through a lot, a whole bunch.
All right. And
hope to answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my final question is, how important is humility in your recovery? Like being able to admit your faults and humbly moving forward, asking people for help and being willing to receive it, and also not just admitting your faults, but now making that effort to go forward as a humble person, as a servant to a greater plan and a greater existence for yourself.
I think that's very important, but it stretches me and it makes me uncomfortable. But once I know it stretches me and makes me uncomfortable, I know I'm going to grow.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to grow from the inside. I'm not worried about no outside, no clothes, no house. I want to grow inside. I do a lot of personal development. I want to be that person that people look up to, and I want to be who I say I am. My integrity and character means so much to me. I don't want to get on, just like if I get on this line here and I have, we doing this podcast, but when I get out here, I'll go drinking and smoking. I'm not living by integrity and character. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all the questions we got for you. You did a great job, and now's the time for us to turn it over for your one last message to all the people that are sick and suffering in addiction all over the world. What do you want to say to them, man?
What I would like to tell that person out there that's listening to this, don't be ashamed of your life. Go get you some help. And when you go get that help, make sure that you stay out of those environments. Get around some people that will hold you accountable. Find you a group to get in. Find you a coach or find you a mentor. But find somebody that will keep you accountable and keep their foot on your neck. Somebody tell you something that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Your life is very important. Because the addiction will kill you. You will never beat addiction. You'll never beat it. And you can't do it alone. A lot of people want to do it alone. You cannot do it alone. We all need some help. But find your truth. Don't find my truth. Don't find your mama's truth. Don't find your friend's truth. Find what works for you.
Powerful stuff. All right.
And where can our listeners find you and your book and everything that you're doing?
Okay, my book is called Prison Sentence to PurposeDriven.com. You can get that off Amazon, or you can just type that link, www.prisonsentence-to-purposedriven.com. It'll come up. I'm on Facebook. It's Tony Jackson. I got a website at www.tonyrestored.com. I'm on Twitter as Restored Tony. Instagram, Tony Restored Recovery Coach. Those are all my handles. And I coach people, so if you need some help, let's talk.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Well, glad we could get your information out there. So we'd like to thank our guest, Tony, for joining us today. Hit us clap track, Eric. It's a terrible clap track.
This was amazing.
It's terrible. Thank you again, Tony.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Yeah. No, thank you guys for letting me come on. I was truly honored when you said I could come on that. That was a blessing. I thank you guys so much, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Here at Podcast Recovery, we are aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of helpful services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of hope to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed. We believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be obtainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, invite your friends, get the word out there. Contact us if you want to share, just like Tony did. And go check out his book, all his handles and everything. And we appreciate you being with us tonight. So everybody out there, stay safe and stay clean.